Okay, y'all getting there. Well, it's a wonderful time in worship. I've got an opportunity today to share with you some of the greatest people we have around here, and that is our middle school pastor and our high school pastors. We've been talking about this month. We like to take August and really try to let you see what goes on. I don't want to say behind the scenes, but so much more that goes on than just on Sunday morning here at Highest Praise in this room. And one of the things that we have, just being, we got Southeastern Christian Academy, we got Highest Praise Ministries here at the church. That's a lot of middle school and high school students that we deal with on a daily basis, not on a weekly basis, on a daily basis. And so these guys here, they're the ones that is up front. They're on the front lines. And so what I want them to do today, they're going to come in here, they're going to share with you some of the things that they deal with, and just to share with you what it is they deal with on a daily basis and how they handle things, because that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you do what God has called you to do, that is raise your kids. And so they're going to do that today, so I'm going to turn them loose. The first one's going to be is Pastor CJ, and then Pastor Ryan's going to go. Let's give it up for Pastor CJ.
Good morning. Y'all good this morning? All right. I don't know, first got a little loud. Y'all think y'all can get louder? That's a no. Okay. All right. Like Pastor said, my name is CJ Walker. This is my wife, Jordan. We are the middle school pastors. We oversee our middle school group. How many of you remember being in middle school? Most of you are like, nah, I tried to block that out. That was not fun. Yeah, middle school is such a different time, but such an important time in your lives. A lot of who we ended up becoming as adults was directly affected by our middle school years. Before we get started, I'd love to see, just by a raise of hand, if you are a parent of someone between 0 to 18 or grandparent. I just want to see you. You've got a child in your life, 0 to 18. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of impact. It's a lot of potential, right? It's such a blessing to be able to pour in to the next generation. As we kind of get started, I was thinking about this last night. How many, like you guys know as parents, right? You can look at your kids and you know exactly what is going on behind their eyeballs. Y'all ever experienced that? Like before they do it, like before they go do the thing, you know you just told them not. Like you can see it. Like you know what is. Y'all recognize what I'm talking about? Okay. But there are also times where we interact with our kids and we're like, who are you? Y'all ever experienced that? Like, I don't even know, like, what is going on. We were talking about this the other day. I don't know, a couple weeks ago, it was not this past storm, but the one before that, our roof started leaking. So we woke up in the morning, and there's, like, water dripping in the kitchen, but luckily we rent, so that's someone else's problem. So we went out of town. Someone else came and fixed it. And then when we got back, they had not yet painted. So they sent some painters over, and they spoke zero English. There's no English to be had whatsoever. And they walk in, and we're like doing the thing like point, trying to do sign language or whatever. And a really important part of this is to know that our son Judah is autistic, so he doesn't really talk. Like he doesn't communicate. That's not really a part of his life. He's super smart, but he just doesn't really talk. And so this guy's in there, and he's got him and his friend, and Judah's in his room, and this guy's up on the ladder painting, and they said something in Spanish, and all of a sudden, Judah, like, sprints out of the bedroom, sliding in, and he starts scream singing the Daddy Finger song in Spanish at this person. I don't mean like to him. I mean he like zero like social cues. Like he is like this far from his face, screaming at this poor man in Spanish. Donde está? Like just screaming at him. Like he is having the time of his life, and like we're super embarrassed because the guy's like, "What is this blonde-haired, blue-eyed little white boy doing down there?" He's like scream singing in Spanish and dancing in English. Like it was just ugly. It was ugly. And I remember after we were talking, we were like, what was that? Like, he doesn't really talk. And anyways, it was this whole thing. And I remember thinking a couple days ago when I was preparing for this, we don't really know what's going on in our kids. It's really, let me rephrase that. It's really important that we do know what's going on in our kids. If you've ever had a teenager, then you know like the normal conversation goes something like, "How was school? Fine. What'd you learn? I don't know. Why didn't you take out the trash? I forgot. I don't remember." Like, it's just like those little lines. It's like a video game. They just spit out these little one-liners. It's important that we figure out ways to break down those barriers to find out exactly what it is that's happening inside our kids, because there's a world in there, and I promise you, somebody is teaching them something. Somebody is doing it. It's either going to be the Spirit of God or it's going to be the spirit of this world. So as we kind of get started, I want to let you know the direction that this is going to go. I'm going to really communicate the things that we're dealing with, the things that students are dealing with, the things that we're seeing as youth pastors collectively. And then afterwards, Pastor Ryan, he's going to get up and kind of tell you what we're doing about it and how we can help you and how you can help us, okay? So the reason why I'm bringing that up is because you might think, well, wait, this guy should be talking about middle school issues and they should be talking about high school issues. And I want you to know that social media has leveled that playing field. That line doesn't exist anymore. Social media does not care if they are 12 or if they're 18 or if they're 50. The same things that you're exposed to, they're exposed to by what's in their pockets. Okay? So that barrier doesn't really exist. So I'm going to kind of tell you about some of the things that we're seeing. And one of the things is to recognize that raising kids or pastoring kids is completely different and much harder than it's ever been. It's completely different and much harder than it's ever been. I was talking to the middle schools the other day, and I was trying to explain that I graduated in 2011. The high school I went to was a public school in Tennessee, and they had corporal punishment. Yeah. All right, come on. And what's funny is like the middle schools were like, "Pastor CJ, what does that mean?" I was like, "They can spank you." And they're like, "What are you, 100? Like, what's going on? Why are you so?" They were like, "Did you?" Anyways, they blew their minds that there might be a potential that a teacher dragged them out with a paddle and let them know why they should not be throwing stuff at the trash can. Anyways, that was personal. So like that school, when I got there, they actually, it's like an optional thing. Like you send a form home and the parents have to sign it. How many knows I intentionally lost that form on the way home? Papa, I don't know. I just don't know what happened to. I've never heard anything about this. My point is, it's a completely different world. Could you imagine? Like, it's a completely different world. We used to have to worry about, as youth pastors, like 16 and 17-year-olds hiding magazines in their room, right? Now we're having to worry about whether or not 12 and 13-year-olds think they're a cat. See, hold on. The fact that we're laughing makes me think that you don't think that I'm serious. And I'm actually serious. We actually connected with a guy. They know their family members have a Christian school in Arizona. The health department wrote them up for not providing litter boxes. I'm not joking. The world that we live in is not the same. This is not just limited to like, you know, it's not just tucked away to the like blue states on the far west coast. That's not what's happening anymore. You guys understand what I'm trying to say? It's important to know you have the authority in your house and over your kids. It's yours. It's no one else's unless you give it away. I've heard it said like this: your authority, though, is bound to the mission that you recognize that you have. You guys following me? Your authority will never exceed your awareness that God has commissioned you to raise kids. You got what I'm saying? So submission to a mission brings commission. You guys following that? When you realize that God has handpicked you to raise these kids at this time, right? Then you will have more authority to speak into their lives. I'm gonna give you 3 really practical things that we're seeing that you can do, like how to be a successful parent in 2024. Because if you operate under the presumption that your kid lives in a bubble unaffected by the things I'm talking about, you are wrong. You are just wrong. I don't know what else to tell you. It just is. There's kids even in this room right now who have asked us questions that you would not believe that they're already thinking about, they're already being exposed to. You know what I'm saying? So here's the first one. The first thing is we have to win, as parents and youth pastors together, we have to win the battle of not battling. We have to win the battle of not battling. Pastor Sherwood said it as good as anybody could ever say it. I think it was 2 weeks ago. If you are in a fight and you don't know you're in a fight, you are going to lose. So this is hey, I'm telling you, between us, we probably average 100 to 120 kids every week. Like, you're in a fight. I need you to know that, because otherwise we're going to lose. We've got to get past we got to wake up. Does that make sense? We got to wake up. There's actually something happening, and you have been commissioned by God to parent these specific kids at this specific time. Amen? Y'all with me? Okay. Here's the thing. You cannot assume that your kids are going to bring their problems to you. You probably can until about 12, and it is done. Okay, you've got to go get it. So I was talking to a parent 1 week ago today in that room right over there. Okay, this parent, their kid goes to South Brunswick Middle School, or South Brunswick High School. They're 9th grader. Day one, I don't know if it was the first day of school or the first day of the second semester, but whatever it was the first day of their English class, and they were sent home a list, or a signature sheet, a list of required reading for 9th grade ELA, and the parent had to sign it and send it back. On this list, about 95% of it was all LGBTQ, transgender, you can be who you want to be, all of it. I'm not talking about in California. Got me? Y'all with me? Here's the best part. This parent, dude, she got so worked up. She said, I am not even responding to this. And she handed this poor kid about 4 Christian books, sent them back to school, and she said, you're going to tell that teacher, I'm not reading nothing you give me. I'll bring my own books. And I was like, yeah, come on. We cannot, as parents, allow the spirit of this world to dictate what's happening in the minds of our kids. And I use the spirit of this world very intentionally, because we can totally blame this on a political thing, and there is a power and principality operating behind all of this that is bent on getting our kids to not know the truth. Right? Here's what's interesting. If I remember correctly, he was sent home with a second note saying, that's fine, we'll let him read whatever books he wants to read, but just so you know, you're isolating him. You're isolating him. If he comes home and he feels left out, it's your fault. Someone said, thank God. No, for real, I just need you to know, it's a personal, coordinated agenda that is after truth. It's just after truth. I don't really know any other way to spin that. It's just after what it is. And you need to know that I'm not just talking about schools. I'm talking about every form of content and media that our kids consume and the rate at which we're consuming it. You got what I'm saying? I went to my sister's house probably 2 weeks ago. A lot of you know I'm a stickler for parental controls. If you need help with an Xbox, I got you. We will lock that thing down. It'll be miserable. They want to go outside, I guess. I don't know. And so I went to set up her parental controls, and he's 7 or 8, so he's kind of young. And so I was helping her set it up, making sure she has all the passwords, because there's a lot of really cool things you can do with it. And she said, yeah, I just don't want some creep in his ear telling him stuff. And I'm like, oh, you misunderstand what's really going on, I think. Yes, absolutely, we don't want some weird pervert, whatever, in your kid's ear, but I just need you to recognize real quick that those things that we were afraid of when we were in IMM chat rooms, you remember those? Yeah, that's on Disney Channel now. That's not the actual problem. Okay, cool. Do you want me to tell you what has the most influence in your life? It's your kids' friends whose parents don't raise them like you do. I'm telling you, I'm about to freak out. I had a parent, this was probably a year ago, came to me and was like, this child was in 7th grade, really good kid, just a great kid, great family. And she said, my son has been talking back, like a lot. I'm like, okay, well, there's part of it that's just like growing up, and then part of it's complete rebellion. So we got to figure out what's going on. And I said, so what is this person doing? She was like, well, they just go to school, they go to church, and, play Xbox with their friends. I was like, here's what you do. Let him still talk to his friends, but you just push these 2 buttons, and you can hear what everyone's saying just coming through the TV. And she was walking by and heard this really good friend, who they go spend the night at each other's house, scream at his mom to shut up. And we can make this about not playing with strangers, but strangers don't have as much of an impact as your kids' friends do. You know what I'm saying? You ever been at a friend's house and they start arguing with your mom and you're like immediately uncomfortable? You're like, first of all, if I talked to my mom like that, I would be just dead. Anyways, you guys understand what I'm saying? I guess here's what parental control does not equal parental engagement. To think that you can go and set up some buttons and now your kid is just protected and you can walk away and go on about your job or your life or whatever is foolishness. You have to stay engaged with who their friends are, where they're going. Somebody is teaching them something. Amen? So like the idea that they played Fortnite with some stranger and said a bunch of weird stuff to them, that is not where the strongholds are built. Most of our kids are smart enough to like, oh, that's weird, I'm getting off of here. It's their friends who they think are okay start to deposit those little seeds. You guys following me? So the first one, we've got to win the battle of not battling. We've got to stop letting everyone else raise kids for us. We just got to. Number 2, I mentioned it earlier. We've got to win the battle of truth. This is not about homosexuality or transgender or political agendas or vaping or drugs or alcohol or pornography or any of those things. This is about the truth. The whole battle is about what is true. Is God telling the truth or is God a liar? And I'm here to tell you that God will be made known to be true and every man is a liar. What is written in this book is the truth. Everything else is not. Everybody with me? We've got to win the battle of truth. And here's the thing, kids in this generation are obsessed with what's real. Like they can spot fake forever. Like the first thing they think about is, like I'm wearing Jordan 1s right now, and the first thing any kid will walk, are those real? Like, I'm a grown adult, no? Yeah. They're obsessed with the truth. I'll say this, it's important that you know the truth. Because the moment they feel like you don't know the truth, they're gonna do what every kid this age does, is they're gonna search the question on TikTok. I'm not joking, I promise. I have gotten TikToks from students who are genuinely looking for God. They have searched, can you be a Christian and be gay on TikTok? And 1,000 of pastors talking about how they're gay and they're Christians. Somebody has to tell the truth. We have to know the truth as parents. We have got to win the battle for truth. And he's going to tell you, I wish you knew how often like parents bring us in and we want to be a part of their lives. But it's important that you know the truth. Amen? Man. Here's the thing. Jesus teaches us that there's no such thing as an empty house. If you clean a house out and you don't fill it up, the enemy will. There's no such thing as an empty house. Somebody is putting something in them. Like, you just even think like developmentally, like this is where they learn, this moment of their life is when they learn the most. They're learning all the time. Somebody is teaching them. It needs to be us. It really, really needs to be us. Here's the last one. We must win the battle over atmosphere. You must win the battle of the atmosphere of your house. The atmosphere of your house matters so much. Like, I wish you guys knew, like, everything about, even what we're doing right now is about atmosphere. Like, it's not about perfection. We want to create a place where God's presence feels welcomed and honored and glorified, because you can very quickly create a place where he does not feel those things. Amen. And it's God's presence that brings every stronghold crumbling down. It's God's presence that confronts every single lie. It's God's presence that lights up every single darkness. It's his presence alone. It's not understanding. Understanding has never brought anyone comfort. His presence does. We need to create a place where God feels welcomed, which means there can't be massive inconsistencies. My dad used to always tell me, do as I say and not as I do. No. There can't be massive inconsistencies, right? We've got to actually live this life. We're working really hard. We have this youth band, and we're really trying hard to cultivate a space where God's presence is honored, where we live our lives in a way that bring him glory. So that way our households become little sanctuaries where all things can get revealed, right? Parents, we need things to be revealed. You can't do this alone. You need the Holy Spirit to begin to reveal things. He'll bring stuff to the surface, right? These little impurities. So those are the three things that you really need to know. There's a battle for truth. There's a massive battle of people just not battling, right? And there's a battle over the atmosphere that's gonna attempt to dictate how your kids are raised and who they become. Amen. I want to say one more thing before I turn this over to Pastor Ryan. What you may hear me saying is that we are busting our rear ends and we've got all of these kids who are rolling in who are just barely making it. They're basically Satanists. Like, that could not be further from the truth. We have, I need you to hear me, man. Like, we have a remnant of a generation in this church. If you don't believe me, come to a Wednesday night service and try me. We have 12-year-olds to 18-year-olds who will go after God with every single thing that they have. They don't care. I'm telling you, like, there's about 4 of them right now that I could hand this microphone to and will outpreach all of us. Like, I'm not joking. So what I'm not doing is sitting up here and just hanging my head, talking about how the devil's beating the church up. That could not be further than the truth. The devil is just an idiot. I don't know what else to tell you. He's losing the battle with both hands. I don't know. It's just awful. I hate this for him. I'm just trying to encourage you that you really, really, really need to take it up a notch, not because we're losing, but because we're winning. Here's what I'm really saying. This is not the devil's best hand, it's his last hand. There is a revival that is going to come from 16, 17, 18-year-old kids, 12, 13-year-old kids who can lay on their face before the Lord and say, you can have this entire world. You can have both sides of the political aisle because I'm not Democratic or Republican. I'm part of a kingdom. I'm telling you, there is something that's so powerful. We believe crazy things. We believe that we could actually have a service where we lay hands on a bunch of kids and West Brunswick has to shut down because the Spirit of God is flipping that place upside down. So I want to encourage you, don't let off the gas, man. Like, something is happening. Something is happening. We are not losing. We are winning. But to go to the next level, we need to win the battle over truth, the battle over not battling, and the battle over atmosphere, so that the seeds that are being planted in these kids by God can cultivate, so that they can stand before the Lord and he would say, well done. Amen. All right, so I'm going to give it to Pastor Ryan. He's going to tell you about how you can help us do that. Give it up for my really good friend.
Thank you, sir. We're excited to be here. I'm Pastor Ryan. This is Pastor Ashley. We're the high school pastor, so if you have 9th through 12th grader, they're with us weekly. They probably have our phone numbers, our contacts. We probably called them. They probably called us. All the above, and I apologize already that you're not hearing from these two behind us because they are the real powerhouses sitting up here. And really, Pastor CJ is probably the same way. This is probably 92% her notes that she just makes me say. And I am appreciative of every one of them because they're right. And so, anyway, this was funny. Pastor CJ was talking about corporal punishment at school. At my school, we had a lady there named Miss Wanda. I was only caught really once. That didn't mean I wasn't doing stuff, but I was only caught really once. I am not messing with you. This lady had a paddle. She didn't need it. Her hands were twice the size of any paddle. She had a paddle that had a hole drilled out of the middle of it, but she could feel it. And when people like me would get in there, she'd say, if you put your hand back there, I'm going to poke the hole out, and that helps me swing harder because air goes through it. For real. Now, to her defense, I was in there a couple times. The main time, well, first, Miss Wanda was really scared of birds, deathly scared. So I let one in the school. And it led to me being in this room with her and the paddle. So, but what she did in her defense is there were several people I had along with me leading this whole thing. She had them sitting in the next room, and I was the first one in. And she made me lean against the wall and then said, she got down in my ear and she said, when you hear the paddle pop, I want you to scream. And I was like, what on earth? And she smacked her hand for me. Wow. And I shook all over. And she said, scream. And I went, oh! And all my buddies next door that helped let the bird in were losing it. I'm talking about finding new schools, attempting to run away, everything. And she never actually whipped me with the paddle. That's the scariest thing I ever seen. But she scared the tar out of us, and we probably scared her too. And I upset her so bad. So anyway, we need to pray for Miss Wanda today because she probably... She had us. So that was fun. But anyway, that's my story about corporal punishment. So, and it helped. Look at us. We're raising other kids today. Look at God. Thank God for Miss Wanda. Thank God. So, I want to touch base. What I really want to do up here is talk to you about what we're doing about everything Pastor CJ said, what we're doing about it, and then how we can help you with where you're at and your kids. Basically, what I'm going to say is I'm going to tell you about a lot of avenues in which we are involved in the students' lives. And maybe you don't know them all because sometimes we're involved in students' lives in a way that they keep separate from you. So we want you to know we're involved in those ways. And then also we want you to know every single one of them is available to you as a parent. Like we don't have to do things with just you and the student or just the student by themselves. Like you can come in, we can call, you can have our connection, our contact, all the above. I will mention even following first service, I found out Pastor CJ mentioned a school having the health department because they wanted a litter box and kids thought they were cats and all that. I found out following first service from someone that's associated with this county that Charlotte Middle has been two people have tried to sue it already for not enrolling litter boxes in there. So just so you know, this is not as far away as you think. This has moved in on top of us. What I can tell you is that our kids are more aware that is happening, that we are allowed, that we are willing to admit is happening right here under our noses. So all this to say, this is really, really necessary, and that we have to do this together. We have to fight the battles together. Sometimes when we talk about battles, Pastor CJ talked about the battles that you won't fight. This is what I'm here to tell you as us four. We are here to fight them all. We are here to fight every one of them, from identity crisis to lying, from an attitude problem that's going to keep you from getting a job one day to figuring out who you're going to be for the rest of your life and what you're going to marry and where you're going to go. We're here for all of that. He is serious about the fact that there are two worlds at battle. There is the spirit of the world and there's the spirit of God. And we are addressing both of them, bringing one in and trying to move the other one out. And so just so you know, how we're doing that specifically is we want kids to grow up. We want kids to mature physically. We want them to mature naturally. We want to move them out. What I've learned is that sometimes we are afraid to push the envelope of growing up, and so we won't hand them things that seems above their level. But what I have to tell you is social media is handing them adult content, and they are more curious about it than anything else going on in their life. So we cannot be afraid to hand them the adult conversations about moving on and growing up to the next levels when the world will give it to them at 4 years old. What you can watch on your phone or access today, so can your 4-year-old. There's no separation. There's no difference. And so we want to help you and want to just tell you kind of all the things that we're doing as far as helping you go and helping facilitate the growing up in maturity so you know how to handle and deal with the spirit of the world that is out attacking students, and then how to operate under and in the Spirit of God that will kind of release in several areas. Most kids don't know this. Things are so much more practical than you realize. So a kid will sit down with me. They are way further than we give them credit for. And also, I'll tell you this, as far as you as parents, I want to give you credit. If your student comes to our youth groups willingly, like if they're not willingly yet, it's just because they hadn't accepted this is the way it is. But bring them. Keep bringing them. They're going to accept it. A game will get them. A conversation to get them. A word to get them. A worship set to get them. A prayer night to get them. Something will get them. But what I have to tell you is that maybe you're at home after school and after work dealing with kids that have an attitude. Or maybe you're at home having to exercise that we are setting up boundaries and we are grounding them. We are pulling their phones away. We are checking their stuff. But I have to tell you, if your kids are in our youth groups, it is because they have this deep desire for the more of God. I promise you, a lot of people that come to our church, they say this, man, we were just looking for more, and this is where we feel like we found it. And I'll tell you, whether your kid knows it or not, they have this sense of wanting the more of God. And the kids that hide from you the fact that they just got a bad attitude and want to run their mouth to you and not say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, or slam the door, I promise you, there is equally a great desire for God to have their hand on their life. And they lay over there in our services and they pray and they cry and they ask God for forgiveness and they ask God to make them a man of God and a woman of God, and your students are being impacted by God each and every week. But there's also the spirit of the world. But some things can be so practical if you will call them out of growing up or explain things to them. I sit down with kids all the time and they say, Pastor Ryan, I'm having this problem, this problem, this problem. And I'll say, first, we're going to call your mama. Let's let her know. And they'll be like, why did I come here? I'm like, this is why you came here. It's going to be awesome. We won't call mom. And then we can break down what the spirit of the world is doing in their life and how it has access. Okay, you have this issue. Let's talk about the music you're listening to. What are you watching on Netflix right now? When you go home tonight, what friend are you calling? What do they say? Do you have a TikTok? Let me see the reel. Do you have Snapchat? Get off of it. There's too many things you can hide on it. Like, there's so many things, and I've had kids completely bound up in all kind of things. And there's so many things that we can lead back to. How is the spirit of the world operating in your life? Let's find it. Let's break it down. Let's kill it. And honestly, kids are not like, oh no, I don't want to give up social media. I got kids that'll throw their phones away and be like, I had no idea this was my problem. One of the boys that Pastor CJ even mentioned, he didn't even tell his name. I saw him a couple weeks ago, and he was like, Pastor Ryan, you say this about our phones all the time. He was like, my phone broke. It's been the best 2 weeks of my life. Why? And I turned around and I told him, because there is a spirit of the world that's out to have you and take you and control you and kill you. But there is a spirit of God. And when something like this happens that makes space for it, you are finding freedom. And this is why. We're here to help you explain and tell them why. We want them to grow up. So I believe that kids have authority. They have authority in their own lives, in their own rooms. If you let them know they have that, we are here to let them know they have authority based on the choices they make. If you will learn to make right choices and good choices, it's going to give you authority. One of the greatest problems that we're fighting is the refusal to grow up. Kids don't want to grow up. Kids stay babies in some areas. Kids don't want to listen. Kids want to stay inside. They don't want to, they're 10-year-olds acting like 4-year-olds. And really one of the things that we do is that we're in their lives to say, no, now it's time to grow up. I know you're only 10 and you want to watch whatever the new show is out like an adult is, but the show's not good for you. And even though you're 10, I have to tell you that's not for your life. It is time to move on. It is time to grow up, and we have to have those conversations. But when I tell you they're way further along than you think, they are way further along than we are willing to give them credit for. I'll tell you this without letting go any secrets in the room. Maybe. My kids, we had the talk about things that every couple years you let them believe in, and you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? All right, we finally had that talk because one of our kids came in the living room and they were like, wow, explain this to me. And I'm like, no, I'm not giving anybody else credit for my hard work. Today, you're going to know what's really going on. You're going to know whose money ends up there. You're going to know how that gets in the house. You're going to know it all. We're going to let you know. And so we sit there and we brought one of our 9-year-olds came in that's Parker, and he came in and he sat down in the room and he was like, what are we talking about? And I told him, I was like, well, this is what we're going to talk about. And even though he sensed something maybe off, he was willing, because of the benefits he was getting, he was willing to live in a state of ignoring the truth. So that when I sat down, this is what Parker's response. He goes, oh man, today's the day we grow up. And I said, yes, it is. You're right. And we laid the whole thing out. My 8-year-old standing there like this. At one point, she picked up a pillow and just put it over her mouth. And I'm like, oh, man. And then at the end of it, I had to recap. I almost walked away from the room, and I went back and I said, everything we just said about all those things, it's not the same for Jesus. Well, everything we told you about him, it is for real. You can bank on it. Like, you can run with it. And my little girl was like, whoa, something. We get to hang on to something. But what I'm telling you is most of our students already know. Most of our students are already at a place that they will receive the grow up if you will push them or pull them to step into it. Will they fight to stay there? Yes, they can. I was thinking about when I was talking about this last night, I was thinking about the story of Peter Pan. Raise your hand, you've seen Peter Pan. Our kids hadn't, but we have. Peter Pan's a great story. But this is what I was thinking about. Peter Pan fought the same battle all the time, and he won occasionally, but he fought the same battle all of the time. And I thought, Peter Pan ended up in the same cycle because he refused to grow up. He refused to face the facts. He refused to do anything. So he remained Peter Pan, the ungrown up leader of the Lost Boys, instead of winning the battle, gaining maturity, and then getting authority over Neverland. He could have been Peter Pan of Neverland and dismissed the enemy, and instead he played with the enemy for years and years and years because he wanted to remain ignorant and not grow up and not mature. You may win battles and your kids may win battles, but when they win a battle, if we don't teach them how to grow up and move past it, it is destined to repeat itself. So we have to help them do that so they gain authority over the spirit of the world. It is our job to teach them the ways to have authority over the things the world is going to throw at them. It is our job to teach them that. And so we are teaching them that all the time. On the other side of that, there is the Spirit of God in their life. This is what I believe for all kids, is that the level of freedom that they have is equal to the level of conviction they have on the inside of them. How do you have conviction? Because just as much as we're telling them, don't watch this and don't do this, and vaping bad and drinking's bad and music is bad, just as much as we're helping them walk away from the spirit of the world, when they come into our services, we are praying for your students. We are praying for your kids. We are leading them into encounters in worship in this room, and then taking them over there and letting them encounter something just in their age group, just between us and them, just between them and God. And then we are leading them to pray. What he talked about, Pastor CJ talked about the worship band that is on here. Can I tell y'all 2 Wednesdays ago, we had a service over there that was interrupted by the youth kids, and they stood up, led the whole service, did worship out of nowhere. 3 of them preached, and then I got home and got a flood of text that that's the best service that we ever had, and I thought, great. The service I didn't do nothing was the best service they ever had in their life. But that is the Spirit of God operating in their lives because they're willing to have it if we're willing to facilitate pushing the spirit of the world out and bringing the spirit of the world in. So that is what we're doing. And in the Spirit of God, in moments like that, when you're inviting the presence of God in, it produces conviction on the inside of them. And if they don't let the world convince them that the ways of God and conviction is just a cage set for their life and like a jail cell they have to live in where they can't do nothing, and they realize, no, it is a place of freedom and safety to live pure and whole and reach your marriage and get to success and get to what God's called you to do. And when they realize that, then they are led by their conviction, which keeps them in freedom. And so we're warring against these 2 worlds, pushing one and then the other. And then just to kind of tell you some of the ways that we do that is that we set specific guidelines and principles. I'll say this. On your phones, a few nights ago, I told Ashley, I tell as many kids as possible, go to bed at 10 o'clock, period. Something else wakes up in the world at 10 o'clock, and it will go all night if you let it. You have to know what I'm talking about. But on our phones, if you click the video tab on Facebook, the old people app, if it's on the old people app, it is on everybody's app. It is on the kids app, blah, blah, blah. I let my boys download just they like to edit videos, and I'm an edit video kind of nerd person too. So they want to do that. I'm about it with them. So then you get on there. Well, I did not realize until 2 weeks later that you can edit your own videos, but also they created this whole nother side for their age group to where you edit and post the videos you edited. They don't go on Facebook. They don't go anywhere you can see them. They can't be in a place that's posted, but everybody can get on your account and watch the videos that you've edited. And everybody else that's 10-year-olds was editing and posting insane stuff that the kids were able to watch, and I thought they were just maintaining their own videos. What I'm here to tell you is in every way and function, the enemy is out to get them in some way. So like even on my phone the other night, I told Ash, I said, watch, all these videos, I have no idea why all my videos are people eating blue crabs, but they are. I think I was interested in it one day, and I kind of am. And so now all these videos are all these different people peeling blue crabs, and I will probably be awesome at it if I ever get one in my hands. I could probably do it because I've seen tons of videos. But all of my videos look like that until 10 o'clock. I told Ash the other night, I said, holy cow. There's a video that just popped up, and I said, it terrified me because I thought, if I'm watching just anything, any old thing that I usually watch, and this pops up in my room, what's happening in their room? What's happening in their room right now? And then I begin to watch and begin to try to figure it out. And my video feed completely changes after 10 p.m. After 10 p.m., my video feed goes from things that I would normally watch almost to a nighttime video ring. I told her, I said, watch when 10:01 happens. And I clicked it, and a world showed up on my phone that I am not a part of and have no idea how it had access to me. And I thought, this is the day when none of their, they don't even have phones, but this is the day where nothing, including the Xbox, is going live after 10 p.m. because something is out to get my kids when I go to bed. When I fall asleep, something else activates that's after them in the spirit of the world. And so, this is what I have to say. I'll do it for my whole youth group. When they join my youth group, I will buy them an alarm clock. And they can have it because your biggest excuse is going to be, well, I use my phone for an alarm. I have told my 18-year-old before, I'll Amazon you wanted to be here in 2 days on Prime, and you can wake up, or I'll wake my tail up every morning, 30 minutes earlier than normal to make sure I get you out of bed so you don't spend all night on something that's going to attack your life, and then your excuse is, I needed it for an alarm clock. We have to be willing to fight these battles. We have to be willing to go there. So, first and foremost, one of the greatest things that I think that we can offer, and this may sound kind of crazy, but it's really not. One of the greatest things that we give to help you do to help you parent, to help us pastor, is our contact. And that sounds crazy, but I'll tell you, just in the last 2 years, I've received 4 phone calls from youth pastors. One I was at a soccer game with last year in this city, and he said, how's youth pastoring? And I said, wildest it's ever been, best it's ever been, craziest it's ever been. And I said, what about you? I knew you were a youth pastor. And he said, no, I got out. And I said, why? Tell me why. You're like the 4th person that's told me. And he said, because we youth pastored at a church. We were youth pastoring at a church for years. We got involved in the kids' life. And when it got involved in the kids' life, we didn't find out what the kids were doing. We found out what the parents were doing. And the leaders of the church were afraid of us finding out what parents were doing because they did not want to lose members. And so this is what they told us. Have youth group. Make them happy, make them smile, and take lots of pictures. Do not meet with them. And I thought, whoa, what? And the guy was heartbroken. He said, I cannot. He said, these kids need real help. They need real advice. They need real people in their corners, real people in their life. They need people that they could come tell me what's going on. Then I can go to their parents and say, we need to fix this in your home because you don't realize how much it's affecting your kid. And he had a real heart for kids. And I thought, I'm so sorry, man. But he was the 4th person that I was told that youth group just needed to be some social experience so it looked good on Instagram to bring more people to the church. And what I am telling you is we establish real contact and we really make ourselves available to your students. When they come in, our phones are over there. Our phone numbers are over there. They can contact both of us. They can get in group chats with other kids. We have Connect cards where they scan a code and they can text at any time. They find out events. But what I'm telling you is, even for them, that's one of the greatest gifts I can give them is my availability, and they have it. But even for you, you have that availability. We are here for you. We are here for you to call us and not know what's going on, and then me be able to say, okay, well, here's God's perspective. This is what I believe God's perspective is on the moment, and this is what the spirit of the world is trying to do. So let's strategically battle both of them for their lives. Let's go to battle together for their lives, and then you'll say, well, I'm a parent. I already conquered this week, and I yelled at him over this, and this is one small thing, and I'm going to be on the other end of the phone saying, no, let's fight it all. Let's get it all. If you don't want that one, have them call me. I'll get that one. You get this one, and we're going to take care of what's going on in their life. And they know that they have that. You should be able to get our contacts from your kids. They have all of it. I'll tell you this. I added up. I tried to Google it, and Googling it didn't really matter. And then I threw out last week because last week was a really busy week and I went to the last couple weeks. And this is where I brought our summer average to, which is summer average. A lot of kids are like chilling. They're like laid back. It's summer. We're trying to stay out of trouble or just trying to stay at home. And so we don't hear as much. And this is an average summer week as a youth pastor, just to show you that we're here for you and we're here to serve you and your kids. But this is what it looks like according to my phone over the past few weeks. An average one day is 3 hours of texting. One day. An average one day is 3 hours of texting all the students or as many students that are trying to have contact with us in one day. An average one day, there is at least 1 hour of actual phone call time on the phone with students. And then in a 1 week time on a low average, there's at least 2 meetings per week that could last 1 or 2 hours apiece. I had one last week that lasted 2.5 hours because they just needed to. They weren't even doing anything wrong. They just needed somewhere to say a lot of stuff. And I thought, I'm with you. I'll shut the notebook. Just tell me. And I just sat there, and they just spilled it. And it was the best thing for them, best thing for me. But what I'm here to tell you is that is an average of a little over 30 hours a week that we are just available to serve you and serve the kids, to be in contact with them, to find out what's going on, to find out what they need, where they're at. Do they feel like they fit? Do they not feel like they fit? What do they need next? Ask me small questions. Ask me big questions. I'll tell you this. Over conversations like that, I went to war 1 year, probably 3 years ago. There was a young lady that showed up to us, and when I met her, she gave me her identified name. It was Sam something. And I was like, okay, all right. And so as a couple months moved on, I began to just tell her, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we should do. This is what. And she developed this relationship and connection with us that she wanted to know all these things. And when I tell you now, That little girl's graduated. She listens to worship music more than anybody else I know. She serves all the time. She's trying to go to school for ministry. And she does not even really remember the state or age when all of that came about and all of that happened, because there was something controlling her that we were able to lift off of her just through our availability in her life. And she's doing amazing now. So just because of that, you guys have that. We are here to help reinforce what you need as a parent in your kid's life. We are not here to battle. We are not here to take sides. We are not here to say this, this, and that. We are here to take control of what is the atmosphere over their life and then say, we want to help you do the same. Call us. Let me help you reinforce parenting your kid. I promise you, if you're trying to tell them to do right, I'm never going to tell them to do otherwise. I promise you, if you're pushing them toward the things of God, you're never going to have anything but support. But we are here to support you. And then other than that, Wednesday nights, they kind of look like this. For your kids, we offer anything and everything possible. I told first service these really cool shoes on my feet. Bought for me from my 18-year-old daughter. Thank you. She's trying so hard to help her dad. But I wear them. This is my first time. And I wear them and would probably only wear them on Wednesday night. Because our idea behind everything is, what can we do to reach that one? Will they talk to me about these shoes? Will they talk to me about this haircut? If I wear this watch, is it going to bring someone out of uncomfort and into a relationship with us and let us lead them into a relationship with God? Our services look like pre-games, and during the pre-games, we are watching for kids. Who's not connecting? Who's here tonight? Who's first? We have student teams that watch and greet first-time kids. They get information in their hands to get our phone numbers so they can call us or contact us. And then we also do everything you can imagine. We have time for the Word so that they're living underneath godly principles and being led away from the spirit of the world. And then we'll take them into a time of worship. And this is just on Wednesday nights. Take them into a time of worship so they're experiencing presence to produce conviction so that they can live in freedom. And then we do events outside of that. And what I'm just here to say is, we are doing these things as a part of an extended hand to every parent and grandparent in this room that says we are with you and for you in leading and raising this next generation up to live right and love God, and not just live right and just love God, but do that, and as a product of that, be a husband in an unbroken home, or be a wife in a whole home, raise good kids, raise the next generation, be successful in your marriage, be successful in just fatherhood. And we want to raise kids to be a part of changing the world, living outside of the spirit of the world, and then going after God. I'm almost done. Ashley was talking to several kids last night. She was on the phone with like 12 at one time. And I got on and I was looking at her text, and one of the things she ended up telling them, I was just sitting there kind of on the edge of it all. One of the things she ended up telling them was this. She said, guys, your life is not your own. They were all struggling with, what should I do, and what should I give, and how much should I give to God? How much should I keep to myself, and what's the balance? And she said this, guys, your life is not your own. It was given to you by God to live for them and to do what He would have you to do. It's not a burden, it's a privilege. And the kids on the other end were going, oh, Pastor Ashley, what a word. What are you talking about? That's incredible. And I'm like, man, they want this so bad. And if we can tell them that their life is not their own, but they have been called by God to turn around and live for Him, they are willing to walk in it and do it. I want to encourage you today that leading them forward, having them grow up, and pushing them into the things of God, even if they want to act like they want to remain Peter Pan, they really do not. They are hungry for what's more. And they are here for it if you will give it to them. And I want to let you know, we are here to give that to them. And we are here for every single one of you in any way possible that we can do. We can do meetings. We can help with meetings. We facilitate phone calls. I called a mom, and I was super forward about it. I was like, okay, I was on the phone with the mom for about an hour this week, and I was like, well, I can go meet with him, and I can set up weekly meetings, and I can do this, and this, and I'll move my schedule. And she was like, whoa. just maybe text him every day and check on him. And I was like, oh, gotcha. She was like, he's not doing bad at all. He just maybe needs a little connection, a little encouragement. And I said, I got you. So all that to say is, whatever you need from us, we are here for you to be a part of that in your student's life. It is our heart's desire to do whatever it takes to see them succeed. And I'll just say this. I mentioned praying over them in the beginning. I think prayer is one of the most powerful things we do. I rest here in this place at any time, no matter what, because even recently, I've heard him say it before, but even recently, Pastor Sherwood showed up to a meeting, and he was like, I just prayed and almost cried. I prayed over our kids that were moving out of HB Kids into middle school. And I just want to make sure they're okay, and I want to make sure God's moving in their life. And he was like, I spent all night thinking about them. And it's pretty rare to where God would assign other people to your kids' lives. And what we believe here at Highest Praise is that you are a parent, and God has assigned the things inside of you to lead your kids and to parent them through whatever. You are qualified and already given the gifts that God has instilled that your child needs. And what I'm telling you is that God has assigned other people in this room that feel the same calling in the same weight to pray and care for and be there for the students in this place. And we want to see them succeed. We want to see them grow. And together, we can absolutely do it. You believe it? Together, these kids are going to make it. They're going to be the best we've ever seen. In Jesus' name.
Amen. Good job, guys. Didn't they do a wonderful job? Huh? I think these guys are good. Pastor CJ back there did a good job. Everybody stand if you will. Boy, aren't we? We're blessed. We're just so blessed. If you belong to this church, you're blessed. If you don't, you do now, because this is where you belong. This is where your kids belong. This is it is awesome. People ask me, so who do you listen to? Who's your favorite preachers? Who you listen to? C.J. Walker, Jordan Lancaster, Ryan McCoy. That's my favorite preachers. That's what I listen to, because I know what they live. I know what they do. I know what they pour into. These ladies behind me, you didn't get to hear them, but behind every good man is a better woman. How many believes that? Come on, men. You better clap. But we know it's true. They're powerhouses, and so it's just completely awesome. It's simple. The word is simple. Get in church. Stay in church. Get them. This is the local vehicle for the kingdom of God, and our guys here, they work hard. They're in it. This is not what they do, it's who they are. And so we just want to share a little bit about next week. I'm really excited. We're going to have Pastor Matt and Pastor Hannah is going to be up here next week. They're going to have Danny Mejia here next week from Living Water Teaching in Guatemala. He's going to be here. Obviously, we get our shoe boxes really focused on children of all ages, but next week we're going to be dealing with. I know this is a big nerve for the junior high and the high school kids, and they've done a tremendous job. You're learning so much for that. There's so much being attacked to them, but now they're attacking 4-year-olds. 5-year-olds. The enemy is just, he could care less. And so we're going to be sharing Pastor Matt and Pastor Hannah, who's going to be up here. You don't see them a lot because they're back there while we're doing this. So we're going to have them up here next week as well and sharing some things. So come, bring somebody with you, like somebody who needs to hear what's going on here at Highest Praise, teaching you guys. If you know somebody needs to hear what these guys have been pouring into you guys, go online. You can rewatch it. You can send it to somebody because we're making a difference. We're making a difference. How many believe that? We're making a difference. I love what. Well, we're just winning. We're just winning. Okay. So I have my prayer team up here. Don't leave here today without prayer. I know you said, well, it's a little different today. It is. But if you come here and you need prayer concerning your middle school or your high schooler, or you know someone that does, you want to stand in the gap, fill up a hedge, they're here to agree with you. If you're here because you're going through whatever situation here, we're here to minister to you. Sickness, emotional, whatever it is, financial, whatever. Don't leave here today without getting prayer. Our prayer team is here, wants to pray with you, okay? One of these girls here is going to pray. Jordan, I think you're going to pray. She's going to pray us out of here, and just pray a blessing over you, and just ask everything that you receive here today you take with you, okay? Innocent prayer, Jordan.
God, I just thank you that you are here this morning. I thank you that every time we gather, you show up, God. And I just thank you for the word that was delivered this morning by our pastors. I pray that that you would hide that word just in our hearts, God, and in our minds, and that we would take it with us in everything we do, God. And I just ask that you would lead us and guide us as we lead and guide this next generation, God. I thank you that you reign above it all in everything that's happening, God. You reign above everything going on in our country, in our schools, in our homes, and in our lives, God. I thank you that you reign above everything happening in our world, Jesus. We love you today, God. I speak blessing over each and every person in this room. I ask that you would bless them in their families, in their marriages, in their homes, in their kids, finances, every aspect of their life, God. We thank you and we love you today. In Jesus' name, amen.